He says, "You said on a pod with Judy that the U.S. government could possibly sanction Tether to stop Iran accepting the straight crossing fee in crypto. Why would Iran want crypto if crypto mainly stems from U.S. companies?" So Tether is the most internationally used cryptocurrency for settlement, really out of all of them. I can say, listening to Brad Garlinghouse talk at CoinAlts in 2023, I asked him about ODL, and at the time, the majority of the volume that they were settling on ODL was settled in Tether. It wasn't even an XRP. So, all that being said, there's been a lot of people that have used Tether to circumvent sanctions or operate in a way to be able to be outside the U.S. government's purview. If the U.S. government were to sanction them, you've now got USAT, where they're launching their U.S. compliant stablecoin. Why would you issue a completely new stablecoin if you planned on getting USDT in line with whatever the requirements were? You wouldn't. You would just go ahead and change whatever you needed to on your balance sheet in order to be able to meet the new rules or curriculum that's been put forth by the U.S. government. So that tells me that they've set this up to be outside the U.S. purview and potentially kind of a scapegoat or something to use as a pawn or tool when they need to be able to suck liquidity out of the crypto market or cause problems, which it absolutely will if they were to sanction that. And again, that didn't come from me. That came from Neil. I can't think of Neil Hart, maybe is his last name. He's a developer at Twitter, or at Ripple, excuse me. I was debating with Scams after I put out the first Domino Theory back in March of 2024, so more than 2 years ago. And when we were talking about it on Twitter, I thought Tether might depeg. They were very adamant that Tether wouldn't depeg, but that it could be sanctioned by the U.S. government. And because of the illicit activity that's happened on the network, it's also a really good honeypot. I think that Tether USDT was rolled into the U.S. government back in 2014, 2015, and they've used it to be able to buy up treasuries as China and Russia have de-risked from the U.S. dollar and sold those off. If we had to do that through the Treasury, the Treasury just had the largest buyback of U.S. Treasuries in history, $15 billion in one whack. If the Fed had to print the money to buy those back, it would have caused hyperinflation here domestically in the U.S. So we needed a proxy. Tether fit the bill for that. They've used it, and I think once the other institutions here in the U.S. want to compete at scale with dollar-denominated stablecoins, you just rug the biggest one that's out